And now it is time to invite the chief guest for this evening to address the gathering. With utmost respect, I would like to invite Suresh sir to speak a few words and address the gathering. Over to you, sir.
Now, good evening, and practically everyone has spoken very critically and profoundly about environmental issues today. And we have a lot of environmental issues, as a matter of fact. We have climate change, global warming, and globalization. We have, actually, yesterday was a great soil day, the World Soil Day. Biodiversity, the Western Ghats, Himalayas. We have a lot of problems in India also, because India is very fast growing economically, and everybody is focusing on economic growth, pursuing economic growth at the cost of environment. Well, these are often spoken about, but how much all these books which have been awarded now, all the people who have spoken about environment very critically, very profusely about it, how is it going to be implemented? For instance, I was thinking about the schools. We have thousands of schools, lakhs of schools in India, and nearly more than 55% of the students of this country, they are studying in high schools. They use notebooks. Because I was making a film in the Western Ghats, and I found out that how a paper factory, a paper mill in Bhadravati, for the last 40 years, it started about nearly 60 years ago by Mokshagundam Vishwesvaraya, and then it stopped at one point because there was no raw material, there was no bamboo. Sharavati, that is Bhadravati, is a town which had a very thick biodiversity forest. It was completely eliminated because they went on using bamboo to produce paper, and most of it was produced to paper, newspapers, notebooks, and books. But the amount of notebooks that have been produced in India today are so huge, because I belong to the North Karnataka region. I come from Dharwad. I have seen how two paper mills have exhausted a lot of forests of the Western Ghats. One is Dandeli. Maybe they are not aware about it. Not even the government is aware about it. So millions of these notebooks are produced which are being used by students. And then we have cut the forests for them. So I was thinking that we should bring about a new policy in education, how to teach children without using more of notebooks. That's very important, because we take for granted that notebooks will be given to us and the forests are there, but forests are not there. And these Western Ghat forests, which have been precipitating very heavily because of the Arabian Sea, which bring the rain-bearing clouds, they precipitate heavily on the Western Ghats. Millions of farmers who have been living in the villages, they predict on the 5th of June, the first rainfall will come, but now it is being delayed. It starts in August, it starts in July. So we are not sure when the rains will come. And today I was reading that heavy rainfall, also does not allow the farmers to grow their tur. For instance, we have 12 lakh hectares of land, the agricultural land in Kalburgi, which is known for growing the red gram. But today, nearly half of it, about 60% of the tur dal has not come, the red gram, because it rained very heavily. And November they were expecting some rains, it didn't happen. So they lost all the tur dal. So how agriculture is being affected? And when agriculture gets affected, so what will the farmers do? Will they live in the villages? They won't. Now, as it is, the millions of youngsters who were earlier living in the villages and small towns and carrying on other activities like, related to agriculture, horticulture, small businesses, they are not interested in doing that now, because we have built big cities. The metropolitan big cities we have today in India, they are having such a negative impact on the minds of millions of people around, that they want to live like people who are living in the big cities. There's an unprecedented migration of the youth from the rural areas to the big cities. because big cities have everything. The shopping mall, the beautiful hotel, the beautiful roads, a lot of infrastructure, and the villages have never been developed the way we develop the cities and the towns. So the youngsters, who have been now using the mobile phones, we introduced mobile phones. The mobile phones, of course, everybody is using, that's giving information and all that. But the youth there in the villages who were earlier doing agricultural activities, they are now addicted to these mobile phones. And mobile phones give everything to them. They are just about 17, 18-year-old boys. And when they look at the mobile phone, they get everything. They get girls, they get whatever fun they want. And once they get that, they are not interested in carrying on the agricultural activities. They say it is below dignity. Holding the soil, cutting grass, plowing the soil. We are not interested in doing that. Then what do you want to do, they say? They said, we would like to go to the cities. So in the cities they come, they lose their social identity. Because if they'll stay in the villages, people ask, oh, what are you doing? So the social identity is not there when they move to the cities. And in the cities they come, they huddle together in one room, 7, 8 boys. They start smoking, they want to have beer, they want to have everything. So we are having such a congestion in the cities today. Our mega cities are spoiled to such an extent, they are ecologically collapsing. Most of the cities in India, we see Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore. Bangalore, they say, okay, compared to other cities, it's slightly better now. Okay, slightly better, but it's ecologically collapsing. We lost a lot of water bodies, we have lost grasslands, we have lost the soil. So I was speaking yesterday at the Agriculture University, I said that you don't see grass, you don't see soil, you don't see butterflies. How will children learn about environment? They say from computer. They say, a computer only gives you information, but you have to fall. So I gave them the example of Thomas Mann, who when he was just a young boy, he wanted to go and commit suicide. He was running towards the cliff and he stumbled and fell down and he smelled the grass. He remembered his childhood. He said, my childhood, yes, same grass, the ants and the soil. It was so beautiful. He remembered his childhood. He said, why am I committing suicide? So he went back. He didn't commit. And he sat and he began to remember all his childhood. Then he wrote a wonderful book called The Magic Mountain, which was almost considered for a Nobel Prize. And we know this Pearl Buck. She wrote a book called The Good Earth. She spent 30 years with the farmers on the soil. She wrote how dedicated the Chinese are towards agriculture, towards soil and all that. So we have many of these examples that we have today also. A lot of authors, a lot of writers who spoke to us. How is it reaching the society? I have been talking a lot about this for a long time. When many people say our bureaucrats are very good in sending proposals, getting the money from various institutions like World Bank and all that. But when it comes to implementation, there is nothing. We don't implement the schemes. Most of our schemes remain on the paper only. A lot of our researchers are doing this, and we find most of the papers are, confined to the shelves. So we have these issues. We have to understand how we can. For instance, now Himalayas, which feed the Gangotri, the source of river Ganga. Nearly 100 kilometers it is shrunk back because of global warming. And then this economic growth, sometimes I begin to feel, because we used to go to colleges and universities, we used to walk, we used to go on cycle, we take the bus. But today the boys and the girls want, at the age of 14, 15, they want motorcycle, scooters. They say we cannot go on cycle, we can't walk. So this economic growth, the amount of people are now talking about electric vehicles. Electric vehicles also have to be produced. We must know that. You see, when the global, for instance, in Azerbaijan, there was a big world conference on this climate change. And they said that, okay, $300 billion is not enough. India was raising a huge cry. But then you are only addressing the energy issues. What are you doing in global warming? You are you are addressing energy. But what about the other economic growth? When the lot of cars, lot of apartments, lot of shopping malls, lot of products which are being manufactured, which give you jobs to millions of people, they are being continued. What about the extraction of this from the natural resources? This is not going to stop. You are not stopping that. You are only talking about energy. Okay, even today also, we feel that, okay, if we address energy problem, if you produce alternative source of energy, you will solve a lot of problems of environment. I don't believe that. Because if you are talking about electric vehicles, then vehicles have to be produced. You also need to take iron, you need to take bauxite, you need to take metal from the earth only. So that is also going to create, shrinking the planet. So you must understand that we have one globe where 70% is covered by the oceans, 10% by the ice, and remaining 20%, we are 800 crore people living. Imagine. And they need food, they need drinking water. Some experts have said that nearly 250 crore people have no access to drinking water and food today. Right? I mean, the poorer people. And after globalization, every other country in Asia and some countries in Africa went on, cutting down the forests. Cambodia, Vietnam, and Indonesia, Malaysia. Malaysia is the only country which has maintained its forest to a large extent. But rest of the countries, they have just demolished their forests, their natural resources, because they want to grow economically very fast. India is very, very gorgeously saying that, okay, we want to be one of the top countries in the world. But what will happen to environment? Will we be able to sustain this sustainability, sustainable economics, sustainable life, sustainable development? These are all words. It won't sustain. Because, we are 140 crore people. If we want to have, we are actually, as a matter of fact, in Bangalore, if you want to know, my friends are working, we have asphalted that. And then we park our vehicles, no vegetables. So these are the issues which we have to address. These are the issues which we have to carry. And then millions of people have to know what's actually happening to our earth and our life. Environment actually everybody wants. It's a selfish interest. We want to live better. We want to live nice air, nice good water and everything we have. Yeah. So these are the issues which we have today. And thank you for calling me, and it was nice listening to many of you. And I hope Benedict will continue, Ramanand will continue this for a long time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Suresh sir. Please do stay with us on the dais. We have a token of appreciation, a token of gratitude on behalf of Green Literature Festival. I request Ben to do the honors of presenting to our chief guest, Mr. Suresh Heblikar.